Hello my friends, welcome back to the shop. Today, Hangfire TV, we have the SPOHR L562. We're at American Firearms Training Academy in Troy, New York. We're shooting this thing. Lots of cool features on this gun. We're gonna get down to it and go all through it in my typical style. But today, we're doing some shots. We're here, we're on the range, we're shooting this thing. Let's check it out. Dude, this thing is f***ing butter. First rounds, not bad. Those are the first 6 I ever shot. So, brand spanking new, brand new gun. Look at that. I mean, offhand, double action. I wasn't trying, this is it. First 6 rounds, right? First 6 rounds right there. Not too bad, not too bad.
Want to take you guys for a little tour, a little walk around to the AFTA, American Firearms Training Academy. Pretty cool organization. They got a bunch of classes. They're a SIG Elite dealer. They've got stuff for sale. They've got stuff for rent, all kinds of accessories, a bunch of public bays, a couple of private bays, great instructors on staff. If you find yourself in the area, you live in Troy, stop by, check them out.
Yeah. Dude, that's probably like one of the best freaking groups I think I've ever shot out of the box. Look at this thing. That's all 6 rounds just touching. It's like a cheat code. And it's like a cheat code. We're running fucking iron sights. Holy shit. That is awesome. All right, cool. So I know a bunch of old gearheads are gonna recognize this, but Safariland used to make a lot of this gear. They still make these speed loaders. These are pretty cool. Thankfully, this L model from Spore is accepting both kinds of speed loaders. So this is for L-frame Smith, a 586, and these are Safariland speed loaders, and they're for an L-frame as well. But Safariland used to make a lot of these trays. I actually don't know if they make these trays anymore. These are probably from the 80s. But this gear is super cool. If you can find, lots of times I look for this stuff on eBay, but if you can find a lot of this old gear, these are great, pick it up. But yeah, Safariland still makes these speed loaders and they're phenomenal. So let's run some magnums. All right, so here we are on the range with the 562 Spore, made in Germany, fantastic revolver. I think this is one of the most exciting companies that are coming into the American market for revolvers specifically. These guys are making things very top tier, incredibly well made, incredibly accurate gun, much more accurate than me. But what's cool about this is that it's such a feature rich gun. So we've got features on this that you would find in some of the high-end gunsmithing projects on Smith frame revolvers. So a lot of things that are on this are going to feel very Smith style. For like our ejection, right? So to eject our cylinder, we've got a thumb latch here that's similar to all of the operating procedures here are very similar to the way Smith revolvers work. We've got a Smith LPA style rear sight, which is really cool because we can also put a dot on this if we want to with a mount and pick out a dot. So there's a lot of really, really awesome features here, but the things that really make this gun its own are build quality. We're going to get into that a bit more when we get this thing down on the bench. I'm excited to open this and show you guys what's going on in here, but the build quality is just top tier. It's smooth as silk. It's just buttery smooth. Lots of people are a little nervous about the price point. They say, well, it's a high price point gun. What's the point of that? We've crossed that line, that sort of $2,000. We've crossed over that line as far as how much guns cost. So I don't really consider it as much of a high dollar gun as somebody else might. For Smith & Wesson custom guns, you're already going to pay a lot for the revolver, and then you've got to send it out to somebody too. This thing is built in-house. Doesn't come from Smith and then go to another guy, get put together. This thing comes with every feature you want, out of the box, ready to rock and roll, and it's a fantastic piece. Okay, why are we buying this thing over anything else? Nobody else makes it. There's nobody else that's building it like this. Court, Manurin, the other guys that are making super high precision gear, they're making it, but they don't make it with these features, and they don't make it at this price point. So as far as the amount, the precision and quality delivered is so much higher than its price point that this thing is an absolute bargain, and nobody else is on the market is making anything this good at that price. At the end of the day, if you wanted to get this gun, you would have to build it. You'd have to make it. You have to send it to somebody. You have to buy something, send it out, and have it made. And these guys are doing it from the factory, perfect every time. And that's a really cool thing to see. Three shots, 184. Hello my friends, welcome back to the shop. Today, we're back from the range at American Firearms Training Academy. I've got the SPOHR L562 fresh off the boat from Germany sitting over there on the bench. We're going to take the side plate off. I'm going to show you some sight options, some grip options, some of the features about this thing. I think that's very cool. Let me get you down on the bench and I'll show you what I mean. All right, down on the bench we already did the reveal. We're going to do it again. The SPOHR 562. So this is built off of a Smith & Wesson, essentially a Smith & Wesson L frame dimensionally, right? We can probably get rid of the box, but something to note, comes in a very nice carrying case. Very pretty. This is actually, I thought this was a nice detail. This is in fact a Velcro patch. So for those of you who are into patches, that's kind of a cool little detail. I'm gonna leave that there. I'm not keeping that, just so everybody knows. So if somebody does get this 562, that will still be in your inventory. So once we get this thing down here, you'll notice that this thing still looks like it's shot. And I'll clean this up at some point before I send it back. Plugging Modern Spartan Systems, they're a sponsor of the channel. These guys have the best chemistry in the industry, and it will absolutely 100% clean these burn marks, these cylinder burn marks up. It'll clean it up. It'll make the stainless steel look like new, but there's a bunch of stuff in here. They've got a carbon destroyer, copper lead destroyer. They've got some oils, and then they've got some grease as well. And then for cleaning optics, cleaning solution there. If you don't know these guys, look them up because their gear is phenomenal. So looking at this SPOHR L562, it's actually written SPOHR DE L562. The L denomination is exactly what we think it is. It's the size of an L frame. SPOHR is kind enough to also supply holsters for this gun. Very nice. It reminds me of sort of like a Galco top snap. We've got their branded logo on there as well. So we've got the SPOHR logo stamped right into the holster, which I think is a nice touch. Holster works well. You guys saw it in the video. But this is essentially a 4-inch L frame holster.
got a lot of K and L frame holsters. This thing fits just fine. Now, some things to note is this top sight. This is a Smith & Wesson LPA. That means that we're going to do this. I've got a sight, a red dot mount over there. We're going to put a dot on this by the end of the video. It's the only thing that you will have to get from Spore if you do want to sort of change up your sight picture, is you are going to have to pick up, look at the universal pointing device here, the famous Q-tip. But if you do want to get a different front sight, you are going to have to get that from Spore. Some other things that I think fit would be the cylinder release latch. Their cylinder release latch, I'm telling you right now, is probably the best engineered thumb latch. Other than the Hogue styles, this is probably the best thumb latch I've ever encountered. It's fantastic. We're kind of stepping out, and we're getting into some of the features of this that you may have noticed before. You can see back here that this has actually got a set trigger on it. So we can adjust this trigger to brake exactly where we want it to brake. So if we want to tune this to the perfect single action brake, or if we want to tune this for double action only, we can run this down as far as we need it to and set this up whichever way we want to work it. So I think a lot of the features of this make this that custom gun from the factory without having to take your L-frame smith to the gunsmith. Lots of people have a hard time justifying a price tag like this. I think if we took an L-frame smith handgun and then brought that to a custom gunworks, had them perform their 11 herbs and spices on a regular L-frame S&W, we would end up with something like this for probably close to a few $1,000s more. So I do think that this is a bargain. I think the accuracy is top notch. You guys saw the very first cylinder I fired out of this thing, Cloverleaf. It's just a joy to shoot. So I think that this is just a fantastically built gun, and it's just super feature rich. Get a lot of comments and questions about why this cylinder is polished this way. When this cylinder rotates and indexes inside of the revolver's window, it has the potential to drag on the bolt. Maybe somebody who's new to the channel, the bolt is right here, right? So that is the bolt or cylinder stop. It's down here at the bottom of the window. So the reason why this is polished is we don't want it to drag on the bolt and then create a dragged feeling. This is going to be turned on a lathe, and this is going to be faced, and then this is going to be polished, right, to, you know, the mechanical polish. Looks like it's like, I don't know, 600-800, something like that. But so it's going to be polished. That makes it so that that bolt doesn't drag. Gives it a much smoother feeling. The other thing I really like, we can see right here that there's a detent. So there's a ball detent on the inside of this cylinder, which takes out a lot of that cylinder chatter. So when you're running this, we've talked about this before on this channel, but when you're running this very quickly, that ball detent gives a little extra stability to the front of the yoke, because this index is on the back. So we lock into the back of the gun with this detent, and then we're locking into the front of the frame or the front of the window with this secondary detent. It also helps during reloading, because when you open this, you push this out, this cylinder really jumps out of the window and into the palm of your hand, making the reloading process very quick. For the most part, lots of Smith & Wesson commonalities here, but we can see a much more robust frame. There's a whole nother section of steel here with the way that this comes up. Regular S&W yokes don't have an added steel component there. Maybe we'll grab one out of the cabinet real quick to just give you a side-by-side comparison. So this gun's been featured heavily on this channel. I've added a ball detent to the top of the yoke, mated it to the frame, but we can see some of the stark differences in just how robust the yoke and cylinder construction is on this Spore versus this S&W. Just wanted to show you guys that there's just a lot more meat, making for just a better lockup and a way more rigid yoke and cylinder system in general. So I've got a grip here. I've got this sight that I want to dive down into. I want to get the side plate off of this side, and I want to get down into this gun and show you guys what's going on the inside of this thing. Let's check it out. Okay, so here we are down on the bench, and we can see this absolutely gorgeous mainspring design. This is sitting inside of this brass. This pivots. So this whole thing has the ability to align itself perfectly. You know, we're only talking about a couple degrees, but this thing has the ability to pivot. We can also adjust the mainspring weight here to give us the desired trigger. But what I wanted to show you specifically is that this has a mainspring retention block, and you can just see that I'm kind of wiggling it here. So this little block is essentially the only thing that stands in the way from you using an L frame round butt grip on this gun. Here we have a K L frame Hogue, just a general Hogue grip. And this thing will absolutely 100% slip right on to this, if I can do it without looking at it. It's kind of difficult to do that for you guys on camera. This happens to be for a square butt, but it's okay. So we can see that we've got a little bit of separation here on the side, but this is essentially for a KL frame grip. You know, we can just use our regular Hogue retention clip there, and this thing will hold itself on. So grip options aren't really an issue. The only thing that we do have to do, and we can see it on the passenger side of this grip, we can see here that there's been a relief cut for that retention block, right? So that retention block is removed, and it's just a small cutaway. You do it with a little chisel action. You could probably stick a razor blade in here and then just cut that away, but this really isn't taking much out. It's probably a 1/16 of an inch, something like that we're removing from that. So I think that this is really cool. This gives you the option to be able to run whatever grip is most comfortable for you. If you want a big butt, you know, two-handed grip like this with finger grooves, whatever you want to run. You know that your favorite grip is essentially just a little notch away. And even if you take this notch out, you can still use this on all your favorite L-frame guns. It's not like this changes it so it won't fit on your Smith & Wesson product anymore. Next, we're gonna pull the side plate off here. In order to do that, I'm gonna run this weight all the way down. So I want this to be as light as possible. Let's take the side plate off of here and take a look at what's going on underneath. The very first thing that we should look at, side plate screws. This cutout still works. If you don't have one of these are not fancy. This is literally a pasta box, but it's important to have something like this because not all of these screws, when you take them off, even on S&W stuff, the screws are numbered. On the inside of here, what we can really see is that we have a lot in common with S&W, except what we can see is that all these parts are forged stainless, and they're perfect. Every single thing in here has got a super sharp edge, very crisp, all forged components, hand filed, set up. These pins have been welded in by a dude. Very, very impressive machining on the inside of this. This is all wire EDMs. This is all its own its own part. Something that was interesting to me is that this whole cylinder shroud is all one piece, and we don't see that on the S&W. We still have a horn here at the top that's very S&W-esque, right? Anybody in the S&W game is going to recognize that horn. But what is kind of crazy is that, and I'll show you just using this revolver as an example, this machine line is pretty difficult to see. There's a horn right here that sits into the frame, but this all stops right here. This cylinder shroud itself is not a part of that side plate, right? So that side plate comes off. We've got some parts here from Rand Power Custom. That's who supplied these screws. This is a whole different story, but we're using this as a nice compare and contrast. So I've seen a couple of videos come out on YouTube. No one's gone after the side plate or removed the side plate. I think it's cool to take this stuff apart because I think Thomas would sort of appreciate that somebody took the time to marvel at the inside of this gun, because it's just as pretty as the outside. And a lot of people might say, okay, so what makes this so important? Why is everybody so excited about the Spore guns, and why is this such an important feat? And the whole thing is that this is the gun that Smith & Wesson should be making, right? But they're not, and somebody else is stepping up to the plate here to bring the quality that we're all looking for into what we can buy off the shelf. The people who are for the people who want the very highest quality, and I'm not talking about finish quality. The finish quality, don't get me wrong, the finish quality on this is gorgeous, but I'm not talking about just something that, oh, this is polished really well, it looks pretty. I mean something that's really, really made well and made to be handed down to your kids and your grandkids. I mean, this is an heirloom quality gun. This thing's not going to go bad. Super cool. We can see lots of similarities, right? We got the mainspring that comes up, engages with the hammer. This whole thing is on a pivot so that it can maintain its alignment. And this is a ball that's up in here too. Rebound spring. So our rebound block sits in here, very similar to S&W. I'm sure that we could probably pull this thing out of here and most of these parts are going to be polished. I don't think I'm going to go that far. But I know that on the next club models that's coming out, this rebound block is also adjustable. So you have an adjustable mainspring, and then you have an adjustable rebound spring as well. Super cool for the people who are shooting fast and double action, guys like me. Heyo. So I think that that's super cool. I love that idea. So the fact that we've got some adjustability here, we can set up our trigger. We can set up our mainspring for the task that the gun is made for, is super cool. This thing is built is built to stand the test of time. I don't know how Spore is doing it. Some people might think that this is an incredibly expensive gun. I'm telling you right now, at this quality delivered, this thing is an absolute slamming deal. This is a bargain, an absolute bargain. Let's check out this sight system on top and see if we can mount a red dot to it. So with that, it's been an absolute pleasure. We've got all of our accessories on this Spore 562, this L frame. I think that this is just an absolute bargain as far as that custom-made gun at produced in a factory. I don't know how these guys are doing it at this price point. I think this thing is incredible. Hoe grip, we got a red dot on here. If you like the video, drop a comment on this. If you've got a different optic that you'd rather have on this thing, or if you've got a different grip that you'd put on it. Guys, it's been a pleasure. I'll catch you in the next one.